Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Rugby, and Springbok Rugby is back this weekend. Well, not entirely Springbok Rugby, but as close as we can get right now, with Springbok Gold versus Springbok Green. And I'm absolutely buzzing for this game because it's an opportunity for, in theory, what was supposed to be the best, there's 25-man squad. So the best 50 players in the country, based in the country right now, all battling it out at Newlands at 5 o'clock on Saturday. However, some injuries have forced quite a lot of different changes and stuff like that. But I think we still have a very good mix of youngsters and future Springboks, as well as current Springboks and World Cup winners. So it's been upsetting that quite a lot of players have been ruled out for various reasons. People like Opa Mahoje has contracted COVID-19, so he's been ruled out. And Trevor Nyakane has been in close contact with them, so he won't be playing either. But there's still a lot of very exciting players on display. And, for what we finally saw some rugby over the weekend, and it was really good to see. And now we get to sort of see, just look, it'll still be a competitive match, but it's just a lot of fun, and it's a chance for the Springboks and the players, especially if we are going to take part in the Rugby Championship, which is still a possibility. Jacques Nienaber came out, I think it was yesterday, and saying that there's still a lot of factors we need to consider in terms of international travel and all that kind of thing. So we still haven't ruled out the possibility of playing in the Rugby Championship, which means that this is another game for the players to prove their worth, to put their hand up, as well as just get match fit. And at the end of the day, just like when we watched that 3-team cricket a few months ago, we just want to see sport back. We just want to watch our favorite players at a game. We just want to break from the everyday life and get back to watching the sport that we love, which is why I'm so excited for this game. And obviously, we're going to be bringing you match reaction, stuff like that. We're going to have player rating systems on the website, so make sure you subscribe right now. In fact, I'll even give you 5 seconds. Like and subscribe at the bottom there. Share this with your page. Become part of the channel. Done? Fantastic. Let's move on. Right, so if we look at the teams, there's been quite a few injuries. Earlier this week, it was confirmed that Frans Malherbe, Sergio Peterson, and Siabela Senatla were ruled out of injury. We then had a couple other ones, a couple other players who, obviously, as I said, Trevor Nyakane has been ruled out. They were supposed to, the youngster Curtly Orange was supposed to play, but he missed his flight, so then he was replaced with, was supposed to be with youngster Nobo Zwilindaba, but then he was ruled out. So a whole bunch of youngsters are in. So the latest is that Kwenzo Bloza, Cade Volhuter, and JJ van der Mest have all been added to the squad. And so the squads that are going to play this weekend are actually quite different to the ones that were selected last week during the draft, which was quite a lot of fun. And there definitely seems to be quite a competitive edge between Deon Davids and Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus and Zwadile Stick. A couple of jobs, stuff like that. So I think a lot of bragging rights on up for grabs this weekend, which is what is making this clash so exciting, and it's going to be so much fun to sort of see how it goes. But more than that, you think of certain positions like lock, for example, with so many injuries. Lute Jager has actually joined up with one of the squads as a line-out coach. He's currently nursing an injury. So there are so many injuries in the lock position that this would be a nice opportunity for some locks to put their hands up, the likes of Marin Ori, the likes of Hiron Andrews, JJ Schikkeling, to sort of put their hand up and get themselves into the Springbok mix. And Rassie Erasmus has said that this entire match is going to be about, portraying the Springbok culture down to the youngsters and getting the future Springboks within the system. And there are some really exciting youngsters who undoubtedly will represent the Springboks. You think Sanele Nohamba, how he's just burst onto the scene this year, and how suddenly you've got another exciting scrum half, Gianni Lombard for the Lions. It's going to be playing. Wandisile Simelane. Some really good wings. Jaap Penke has got an opportunity this weekend as well. So quite a lot of youngsters involved in a mix of some really good scores. So if we look at the teams, this is the Springbok Gold team as it stands. This is assuming that there are no more injuries or anything like that, which could sort of change the team. But this they will be captained by Lekanya and some big names there in terms of players who obviously we know what Stephen Kitchell, and we know Scarra Ntebene and Marco van Staden, Herschel Yankees, Damian Willemse. A big match for Damian Willemse because the fly half position for the Springboks is currently up for grabs. Obviously, Pollard is currently injured and quite a long-term injury, and he's been ruled out of the Rugby Championship. And with the British and Irish Lions tour next year, it's going to be very important the Springboks, create a deputy and back somebody as the number two, basically. Their primary second choice fly half. And Erasmus has so far backed Yankees and said that undoubtedly he's the number two at this stage. He's got the experience. He's played with the Springboks. But there is opportunity for the likes of Damian Willemse to come in and say, you know what, actually, I can also do the job. Because Pretorius has played a fly half as well. So it's exciting to see him there. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ross and what Warwick Holland. So if you look at that back three, a lot of pace, as well as Hirsch Yankees and Damian Willemse. So it's a backline for me that's very exciting because there's so much pace in it. Warwick Holland's playing some really good rugby. Roscoe Speckman and Courtnall Skassan are fantastic finishers. You give them any sort of space and they're going to punish you. You've got the experience of Lekanya, for me, a future Springbok captain who will lead the side. And even if you look at the pack, so much experience up front. Stephen Kitsoff, Springbok, Lucid, Scurry and Tabeni's been around for ages. Ruan Dre is back with the Lions, so he brings in a lot of experience. Salman Murat and Marvin Ori, a nice mixture of a youngster and an experience. Nizam Khan, he's back in the country. Marco van Staden, who's trying to get himself back into the Springbok mix. Obviously, some very some untimely injuries sort of put a halt. And Sikhumbuzo Noche, who's back to playing some of his best rugby for the Sharks. And on the bench, again, a lot of exciting youngsters. James Fenter, who's been playing some fantastic rugby at the Sharks since moving from the Lions. Manuel Rass is looking good for the Lions. Curran Bosch is there. He gets an opportunity. Werner Koch is still trying to make that sort of transition to the 15s. Carl Usari has been very excited at the Lions. Vincent Stuka is another one. Ivan van Zyl has been called up. So lots of exciting players and a nice mixture of experience and players who have sort of been there and done that, and then obviously the youngsters that we keep saying. So, I think this is it's a well-balanced squad, to be fair. I mean, if you look at what Rassie Erasmus was saying about this squad is that there's a bit of a lack of height within the lineouts, but I think Marvin Ori is quite experienced about that, and he will hopefully be able to call the lineouts quite well. But it's quite a mobile loose trio. Nizam Khan gets around. Sikhumbuzo Noche is a fantastic player in the loose play. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. And I think that it's a very good front row. It'll be interesting to see because Ruan Dre has kind of been accelerated into this whole thing. He's come back to the Lions and he's already suddenly back in the Springbok mix. And Rassie Erasmus has been saying he brings a lot of experience. So when we're looking at tight end, and Trevor Nyakane always seems to have issues with injuries and stuff like that, and we always are on the lookout for a good tight end. So it'll be interesting to see if Ruan Dre can step up. Carly Sardi off the bench as well. Looked very good over the weekend when he came on for the Lions. So that is the Springbok goal team. And then if you look at the green team, captained by Siya Khaleesi, they will be coached by Mzwandile Stick and Rassie Erasmus. So if you look at the front row, Oxen Chair, very, very excited player. Bongo Mbanambi is back from injury, started the World Cup final. Luan de Bruin, and then JD Schicklin and Hiron Andrews. Those are the two locks that have going to be able to put their hands up. And then what a physical loose trio in Arno Boerter, who's back. Siya Khaleesi obviously captains the side, and Dwayne Vermeulen. So not the mobile loose trio that the Gold has, but a very physical loose trio. And in theory, there should be no reason why they aren't winning every single lineup because a lot of height there. And then what's quite a big pack. I mean, JD Schicklin, quite a big chap. Oxen Chair brings a lot of physicality, and he's quite good in open play. But the biggest thing about this is that if this pack can give the backline the front foot, they are going to, they could punish the Gold. You've got Sanele Nohamba, who's going to partner up with Alton Yankees, a very exciting combination. You've got the experienced in the midfield, Frans Stade, who will add a lot in defense. Then around him, you've got Malcolm Yar, Wandisile Similane, Yar Penkle, and Gianni Lombard, who are very exciting players, and lots of pace there, lots of creativity. Somebody like a Similani, even a Lombard, they just look like they're going to be able to create something from nothing. And Lombard's being, touted as a future fly half of the Lions, going to take over from Alton Yankees, but he is quite a utility player. And then if you look on the bench, that's where it gets very, very exciting because there's a lot of youngsters. Marnie Liebach is there as well. The hard tackling Jeremy Ward. Junior Pocamelis comes through the system, started to look very good. And Boris Papier, so lots of exciting scrum half options within the green. Joano Augustus, who's just a bit of a freak in terms of the physicality he brings. Thomas du Toit, who, if he can just stay fit, Thomas the Tank, such a nice player to have because he can play on both sides of the scrum. So a good utility player there, and some youngsters. So yeah, I think overall it's a nice blend, and there's nobody who's like at the end of their career. I mean, Dwayne Vermeulen and France Day coming to the end, but in general, it's players who still have quite a few years ahead. So it's a nice mix of youngsters as well as current Springboks, and at the end of the day, it's just an opportunity for players to become part of the Springbok sort of system. So I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I think it's another good move from Rassie Erasmus. We started talking about all these alignment camps and these training camps, and creating a culture back within the Springboks, and making sure that players are coming into a system that they understand and that they are aware, and it's not just a case of injuries happen, you call somebody in, and they have to try and adapt to a system. Rassie Erasmus is always thinking 5 steps ahead. He's always thinking, I need to make sure that, I've got a big squad, so if there are injuries, this player comes in, this player comes in. They can just slot into the system that they already know quite well. And that's why they've been started, working with the provincial coaches and making sure that all these players understand the Springbok systems, and therefore they can just slot in where they need to be. So, Springboks are back. It's going to be Springbok Gold versus Springbok Green at Newlands in Cape Town, and the last game before the sort of move to the Cape Town Stadium. So Springboks won't be back at Newlands again. So it's going to be an emotional day for a lot of people. But I think at the moment the important thing is just to embrace that it's something different, it's something fun. You watched that New Zealand trials match and it was fantastic rugby. And obviously this isn't quite the same in terms of the caliber of players because we don't have all our overseas players available. But it is some really exciting players and a nice chance to see which players are good enough for this level and which players maybe are struggle. And it's another chance for people to get the rustiness over before we head into the domestic season. And I, for one, really hope that my Lions can sort their rubbish out from the Super Rugby and can get back on track. Because, at the end of the day, after the announcement yesterday of us hopefully moving to Europe and having the Sharks, Lions, Bulls, Stormers playing in an expanded possible Pro 16, it's time to start, preparing for that. And it's going to be a massive curve, a learning curve. We don't know if it's going to be a big step up or whatever it is, but, it's going to be very different for a lot of the teams. And so we need to make sure we are at our sharpest so that next year, come what may, we are ready to start competing in more tournaments. It's been so long since we won the Super Rugby. Next year, we really want to see South African teams competing for titles, whether it's for the Pro 16 titles, whether it's for whatever competition Sanzar comes up with. We need to be competing in these titles domestically so that it's not just the case of the Springboks doing well. We are also enjoying our rugby and watching a lot of success domestically. Hopefully the Currie Cup be reinvigorated and we can really go back to enjoying the Currie Cup. But that's what's happening this weekend. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner there. Become part of Forever Rugby. Become part of Forever Sports. We are for the fans, by the fans. Lots of more content coming in. As I said, on Saturday, we're going to have a link up on the website where you're going to be able to rate every single player, which is always a lot of fun and very interesting to see what people say. So in our reaction, we'll actually go through the ratings and see what everyone thought about the performances of the players. So make sure you are part of the channel and subscribe so you don't miss that. Hope everybody is well, having a fantastic week, and we're all looking forward to some fantastic rugby in Cape Town on Saturday at 5:05. My name is Stephen Pettit. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.